Thoughts and Friends podcast, Bachelorette edition. That is Brody. I'm Wes. We're joined by Bobbie, as we will be every week, breaking down each episode of The Bachelorette. Before we get into episode 2 and breaking down everything that happened, we have big news in Bachelor Nation. It means nothing to us right now, me, Brody, and I. But Bobbie, tell us what's going on. Break down the big Bachelor Nation news.
So before Michelle's season, we had Katie. She ended the show by getting engaged to Blake, who is someone who actually showed up late to her season because the host, Tasia, thought they were super compatible. So she hooked him up or whatever, and they just broke up. I think it was one of the shortest Bachelorette engagements that we've ever seen.
I'm not shocked.
How long was it? How long
it just
was it?
ended, right?
I mean,
think it was the one before this.
Her season just aired before Paradise. So I mean, we're talking maybe they were engaged for 4 or 5 months.
Seems like there would be more that are that length, but
I agree.
Maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah, I feel like normally they do last a little bit longer than that because people date and it's like they're dating, but they're technically engaged. But he actually lived in Canada. She lived in San Diego or something. And then he would also travel to Africa for a month at a time.
What could go wrong?
Right. I mean,
when I get engaged to someone after a month, I want to spend as little time as possible with them as than I can. It's always seems like a great recipe.
So with Katie's season 2, she wasn't showing extreme interest in him until someone else went home too, and he was kind of the only guy left. So I was not surprised. It was really an awful season.
Okay. You mentioned that he was brought in. Was it just the host, Tasia? How do you say her name? Tasia?
Tasia.
It was just her friend, or where did this guy come from?
No. So he actually was on another season of The Bachelorette. So he had been on a previous season, and then that's how Tasia knew him, through Bachelor Nation or whatever. And then he joined late, which happens a decent amount, honestly. And yeah, it was just kind of a really weird situation. I never really liked him. I thought that it didn't really seem genuine from the start, but.
Also, this was Katie, right? You said her name was Katie, the one before?
Yeah.
It was one of the COVID seasons, right, too? So it was kind of weird. Oh, I know a lot of people didn't like it, right?
Yeah. So so Katie and Michelle were both on Matt's season. So then when Matt's season was done, they did 2 back-to-back Bachelorettes. So all of this has happened within the past year. It's been kind of a busy time. We also have one other thing. So Chris Harrison, the past Bachelorette and Bachelor host, proposed to his girlfriend this weekend, which is big news.
Is he's no longer, he's canceled, right? We don't.
Yeah.
Do we like him? No.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's kind of a nice opportunity to I don't know. I think that if someone does something one time, they're not a terrible person forever. And he kind of made an effort after that all went down. So I don't want to say that I hate him. I feel like it was a good move for him to move on from the show, though.
What did he do? Because I am very vaguely aware that something happened and people were upset about it, but I never looked into it. I have no idea what happened.
So essentially, there was an interview, and I can't remember what the initial interview they were doing it for, but basically Chris Harrison, it was on a podcast with Rachel Lindsay. Rachel Lindsay was the first African-American Bachelorette, and they were talking about injustice and things like that. I believe. Maybe I'm getting my things mixed up. They were talking about something that was heated, and basically he was telling her that she was wrong and was talking over her and kind of gaslighting her a little bit. And it did come across very tough. Like, he was talking about things from her perspective that weren't right. And it was, I want to say it had something to do with race though. Like, it was definitely racially charged, but so that's why everyone immediately was like, no to Chris Harrison. And then people are pretty quick to write him off.
Yeah, I feel like I remember there was a race element to it.
Definitely.
That shocks me that someone like him from a show like The Bachelor would not be as buttoned up and down the middle with every media appearance he's ever made as possible.
It seems like it would be super polished.
Seems crazy that he, of all people, would lose the plot or fly off the rails.
Right. It's kind of how I felt. I was like, you're a part of ABC. This was a monumental Bachelorette that you're on her podcast talking about an important subject, and you really disregarded her opinion. And I feel like it was best that he moved on. He actually is in like a big lawsuit with the franchise now. So we'll see what happens.
Sounds like a mess.
Harrison.
Note to all white people: if you're in a discussion about race, best just shut the fuck up and listen.
Take a back seat, probably.
Just 95% of you have no say.
Rule of thumb.
Just shut the fuck up and listen. Your takes, your opinions, they do not matter. They do not matter at all.
No.
All right, let's talk.
Okay.
Episode 2.
Let's talk
of
Ep
The
2.
Bachelorette. First thing we get is our first group date. We have like 10 guys. I'll read them off. I wrote them down here. Brandon J, Romeo, Rick, PJ, Will, Olamide, Casey, Daniel, LT, and Peter. They go, all I can remember, I thought the basketball date was more memorable. The second group date, what did they even do?
Classroom.
The kids, that's right. They went and did the classroom stuff. That's right. I think the big takeaway from this one, group date, would be the little scuffle, little feud that Peter and Will got into. He called him out for being a narcissist, I think is what
they said.
Spell
narcissist, and on his little whiteboard he wrote Peter.
Yeah, Peter.
Funny joke.
Yeah, it's
very lighthearted.
It's a good little dig.
Absolutely.
It would have done him so much better if he would have just had a nice little dig back, but he got so butthurt about it. He was so in his feelings.
Would it have though? Because I think we knew from the day one that we saw this guy that he was here to be a character. He was here to be part of the show. We knew from the first second we saw this guy that he had no shot to win this show, that he was going to be, hey, I'm the pizza douchebag guy.
I know I'm getting ahead of myself. He was given a rose. It felt like producer pick at Stinks to High Heavens for sure, in my opinion. Bobby, what did you think of the first date?
I think digging into the first date, one, I thought it was a cute date. Group dates are always kind of like hard, especially during COVID, I think, but I really liked the group date. I thought Will's comments were hilarious, and also the little girl that was like directing them, she was taking no shit. She was like, funny. Leave her alone. So I really enjoyed it. I think that the Peter thing seems obviously produced. He's the villain. But honestly, we knew that he was going to be insane. Like, he showed up with pizza dough that first night. He's weird. The only other thing, too, from the group date is that I thought it was hilarious that this was supposed to be 5th grade and they were teaching chemistry. Come on. We didn't do chemistry in 5th grade.
Yeah, I don't know what they were exactly tasked with, but I think they were supposed to like mix something, and I don't know what they were doing.
That is another like red flag. Like, this is all planned out. Peter's isn't going to work. We know this going in. We're going to make Peter look like a total fucking dumbass. That's the whole point of us doing this segment at all, is just to make Peter look bad, basically. And Peter's in on it. That was my feeling the whole time, and it worked. He sucks.
Yeah, he definitely.
I hate him.
Made himself into a villain. I really thought if he could have just went with it, it would have made him better. But it was clearly from the beginning. Yeah, Peter is a villain segment for sure.
I wrote in my notes that Peter has to be an actor because I've never seen a guy care so much about anything. Like, he was so mad.
Oh,
And
gosh.
I was like, okay, like you just kind of proved his point by like making the whole group date about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy who's very, very worried about what everyone thinks about him, telling everyone he's not a narcissist.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it was so cringe. He brought Will aside and did like I didn't like the way you went about that. And he said, in front of the kids, you called me.
Yeah, right.
You called me that in front of the kids. I just didn't think that was right. It was so brutal. He looked like an idiot.
And also, so like just to kind of give you guys the idea or heads up that every date is structured like that. So like they do something like an activity and something fun, and then for group dates they have like a cocktail hour where everyone has like freshened up and they look great, and then for the one-on-ones they always have like a romantic one where they're like purging all this information out of them. So, and there's always something that derails her attention, So of course, on the group date, it was Peter and Will. And I thought Will was kind of funny. Like I enjoyed his aspect of the drama.
Yeah, I thought it was light. It was
Totally fair.
Not that big of a deal.
No.
And he's right.
Yeah.
He's totally right.
You are a narcissist. Quickly, can either of you spell narcissist?
Yeah.
Spell it.
No, I can't spell it. Peter, that was also in that moment a great get out of jail.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not sure how to spell this. So, and Peter actually brought that up. Would you not know how to spell it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, dude. Turn it into a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Tough word.
Peter spelled entrepreneur wrong, I'm pretty sure. And he is literally an entrepreneur.
Pizzapreneur.
Well, he doesn't know how to spell
Different
the
word.
real word. It's a
Different
different word, dude.
Yeah. Let's go to the so unless you got something else on that.
Brandon J didn't know how to spell protein. That's rough.
That is
We're gonna get more into Brandon J.
We're gonna do it right now. That is
Okay.
that is rough.
I will say, like, the I's and the E's do be messing me up. I's and E's.
Narcissist is tricky. We got to spell protein.
Protein.
That's come on. What are we doing? What else did I get wrong?
He didn't spell it. Not like he spelled it PROTEEN or something.
Yeah, that's
so that's
true. He just switched it. We'll let y'all play for now. But let's talk more Brandon J. So after the group date, when they were in the classroom, they all go to this little mini cocktail hour that you referenced, and she pulls people aside, and we got mostly Brandon J and Rick. Is that right? From the first?
A lot of them, yeah.
So Brandon J, just in my opinion, the worst part of the episode, the most cringeworthy part of the episode, pulls this like Google pickup line on her, like this cheesy shit. What did he say?
Read a Hallmark card to her, essentially, is what he did.
To her credit, she busted his balls about it. She was like, that was the worst thing I've ever heard. She wasn't like, oh, that was cute.
I know. I don't know if I've ever seen a Bachelorette do that. So she was just straight up like, you don't mean that. Like, that was so fake. And I was like, damn.
I wrote down
girl.
so phony.
Yeah, that was the most rehearsed shit. But then we got to talk about a little bit of Rick. That gets him the impression rose for the. I see a lot of stuff coming in this show. Like, it seems very obvious. I was surprised that he got that. That got him that.
So you just said Rick. Rick didn't get the rose on the group.
No,
date.
I'm talking Brandon J. His cheesy line got him the rose. I was shocked.
Yeah. No, I had no idea why he got the group date rose. And also, like, I just feel like there's just not a shot that, like, he's not anywhere near her league in my opinion. So, like, why are we entertaining this?
To me, he's not in the top tier of attractiveness. He's not in the top tier of personality. He's not towards the top of.
He's so dull.
Of like an interesting life or life experience. He comes off to me like he's 16 years old.
I don't get it.
I don't understand the fascination with Brandon J. I'm out on Brandon J. I do not get it.
He is like the embodiment of a guy that's like, come give me a hug. Where's my hug? You know?
Where's my hug guy? Oh.
But he does seem to have confidence, though, is the thing. Like, kind of.
That cheesy, even though the line was awful, it wasn't confidently said, in my opinion. I didn't think it was great.
Probably.
I think he feels more confident in like his talk to camera stuff. Like he feels, but in the moment, I think he's not.
Huh. Yeah.
Maybe I could watch closer, but he does not scream confidence to me. Something to watch,
Same.
maybe.
Yeah, something to watch.
So he was the first. He was the first. Anything else on the Brandon J date?
No.
He was
I
the
don't think
first individual shots that we got of the one-on-one of the group date, and then we go to Rick. I thought Rick. This is my first time watching it. I don't know if it's original or not. He did like this Mad Lib style deal where they like. I thought that was kind of original. I thought he did much better than Brandon J.
Okay, I loved it. I thought it was the cutest thing.
I thought it was pretty unique.
Tie in with elementary school. It all makes sense. It works, and it's not too over the top like his fucking dinner table thing. Which maybe for episode 1, that's a good move. You want to be over the top. Now you ease into it a little bit.
So I will say, like, Rick is one. I did not think Rick was really like cute the first night, and now I'm like, wow, Rick is so cute.
I know what you're saying. He really, he was table guy. You couldn't really see anything else.
Night. Yeah, and so I think that Rick is incredibly cute. I think he seems like genuinely really into her too. He was like,
I would agree. He seems I don't know how, but in episode 2, he seems pretty in.
I know.
He was my simp of the week last week, guys. I saw it all the way. The dude's head over heels.
You were right about so much. You said that Party was going to go home this week, and he did.
I said that?
I said that.
No, I think
he was Rick. He was on Rick. I said Party was going to get Party. We'll talk about him in the second group date. I said he was going to get no screen time and be gone, and we didn't see any of him. So I nailed that. But he was talking up Rick.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you were right about Rick though. So
he should have got that rose.
Kind of moving on from that cocktail hour. I thought overall it went well, and she just kind of like put a complete end to the BS with their drama, and she was like, "You need to figure that out, and then come back, absorb once you like absorb it all." And I thought that was good because she was like not having it.
Talking about Will and Peter, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of notable.
Seemed like mostly directed at Peter. He seemed the most upset about it. She pulled him aside and was like, "Hey, figure it out."
Because the reason I asked that, we have 2 pieces of drama in this episode. Right. We have the bigger drama coming later, but we'll get to that at the end.
After the first group date, they go, I didn't know she picked 1 per episode. Is this a thing where they go on a one-on-one deal?
Yeah, so we'll see a lot of one-on-one dates. Almost everyone who's going to be like a finalist, you're going to see on a one-on-one date.
Is it usually 1 per episode?
I honestly don't know. I feel like it could be more. There's always like, if there's a group date, whoever's not on that group date, if it's just one person, that means that they're getting a one-on-one. But when there's big groups like this, like we're going to be seeing multiple group dates an episode, likely, but it's possible that we might see more than one-on-one.
Right. Okay. So after the first group date, she sends a note in and individually handpicks Jamie to go on a one-on-one date with her. And they go to Joshua Tree. They go rock climbing.
Is anyone surprised by her date pick?
No, I thought that was...
I don't know.
If we're to believe what we saw, they seemed to have, a connection. I thought he was a front runner of sorts.
Are you saying about the person she picked or the activity?
Yeah, the person.
No, I wasn't surprised.
I think he's a top contender. I think it makes sense.
I think it would have. I think last week we decided Joe, Nate, and him were the top 3. So the fact that it was him wasn't that surprising.
Very well could have been Nate. Wouldn't have surprised me based on the first episode, but it made sense to me. Were you surprised by it?
I wasn't surprised by it, but I feel like sometimes with their first one-on-one dates, like, again, anytime there's like a first, I try to pay attention to it. And so a lot of the times too, if someone feels really strongly about someone, like we know that she's really into Nate and we know that she's really into Joe. They didn't get the first one-on-one dates because she knows that she's into him. So normally it's like to feel out like, okay, am I into this person or not? So to me, it kind of seemed like a setup because we know that Jamie brings a lot of drama later in the episode. So it's like it's like back and forth. Like he's talking to the guys and you're like, looking at Jamie thinking, okay, you're kind of being a dick. Like the way he was saying like, oh, I grew up like this and all, like no one was really interested. Then you see him on the date where he was like, okay. And then he immediately starts to be a dick again. So I was like, I don't know. It's like bouncing us all around on how we should feel about him.
One thing that kind of bugged me and like within the show, like I understand this logic, but in real life, whenever he got the individual date, he's like, well, I also would like to know more about her. And like, I would like to make sure that I have good chemistry with her. And all the other guys are like, what the fuck? This guy's ungrateful.
How dare he?
It's like, how dare he also want to like her as well?
Right.
That makes all the sense
It's
in
like,
the world to me. Like,
that's
right?
the most sensical thing I've ever seen happen on the
I'm
show.
excited for this. I want to I think.
And then we'll get to it later, completely shits on that with the most unlogical thing in the world. But so they go on their date, they do the little rock climbing thing.
I want to get Bobby. What were your impressions of the one-on-one date with him? What were your takeaways from it?
My takeaways were that I just do not like him. Like I didn't even like him on the date personally. I was very empathetic that his childhood was so awful. I mean, that was really, really sad and touching. And I thought it was nice that he opened up about that so that we could see that side of him. But unfortunately, that's like overshadowed by all of the drama he brought later in the episode. So overall, I mean, I don't like him. I don't think he's attractive. I didn't think that their chemistry was off the charts.
Yeah, he felt a little stiff, if that makes any sense. Like, yeah, like they just don't connect quite like some of the other people seem to connect.
It didn't seem overly natural, I wouldn't say. What Bobby's referring to is he said that when he was younger, he had to take care of his mom a lot because she had mental health problems. And when he was 24, she ended up committing suicide. And he tells this story. It's super heavy, real deep. She, on the date's crying, and they have a moment. I didn't know is that fairly common, like really heavy stuff like that, like especially on a first date, like that's pretty. Yeah. Okay, so like they talk about that. I thought she handled it as well as you could. Like it was pretty tough.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and I think that you're gonna see a lot of that. Like, and sometimes it gets kind of hard to watch because the Bachelorette or Bachelor will try to like pull more information out of the person because they're just trying to talk about, a year's worth of stuff that you might talk about when you're dating someone in the course of a few weeks. So, yeah, that's super common. Overall, yes, they handled it well, but I feel like she's like, yeah, he checks a lot of boxes, but the chemistry personally isn't there. But on paper, he seems like he'd be right for her.
So one thing, this could be me being very cynical about this, but I think his behavior later in the show maybe sort of reaffirms this stance possibly, is that like obviously what happened to him is bad, awful, terrible, but it sort of felt like it was having a card to play, and he was like pulling out. I was like, if I tell her this, there's no way that I'm not making at least 3 or 4 weeks after this because I'm going to guilt trip her into doing it. And at the time I'm like, no, this seems, and then later on when he's like really playing the reality show game of this all and trying to sabotage people, it makes me sort of think he didn't have the best intentions of revealing that information at the time that he did.
I agree. I think that's a good way to look at it. And it's unfortunate, but yeah, I feel like it sucks because he like kind of put her in, like he built up her trust on the date, kind of showed this side of him, was very vulnerable. So then later in the date, when he came to her with all of these allegations about what was going on with Joe and her knowing him before the show, she really trusted that. So that was like, it's just it's too much. I just think that the way he kind of manipulated her this episode was like a huge red flag.
Yeah, and we don't know really in actual time how long that was after their date. I mean, they just had this incredibly like deep, really tough moment. He tells her all this stuff, and then he comes to her who knows how long later in the episode. It's very soon.
Yeah.
and lays this on her. And she, I mean, after the one-on-one date they just have, she has no choice really just to believe him and take it very seriously and address it later, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
And I actually think that was just the day after their date.
Got it. Okay. So they have their date. He gets is pretty much every time on a one-on-one date, they get a rose to advance to the next week. Is that pretty?
So later in the season, you're going to see them send people home on these one-on-one dates.
Really? So they're like, hey, this isn't it. It didn't work out.
Like,
Really?
hey, I had a lot of fun on our activity today, but I just know that you're not my person, so I'm going to walk you out.
Okay, I like that.
Also, drama is really fun because later in the season, we will see 2-on-1 dates, and they might bring on 2 people that have drama together on a date, and there's only 1 rose.
That's so fucked up.
Fun. Let's do it.
It's diabolical.
It's so fun.
Yikes.
So they finish their date, and then we jump directly into the second group date.
I loved this group date. I thought it was a good group of guys.
Sports, baby.
Yeah, sports for the boys. So she brings it to a gym, and they play a little one-on-one with her, with each other. They kind of shoot around a little bit. She brings in a couple
WNBA players.
WNBA. I think both of them might have been Chicago Sky. NBA champion.
Las Vegas Aces was one of them.
One of them was Aces, one of them was Sky, yeah.
Maybe you can get them featured on the podcast.
Ooh, Diamond Shields, I think, was the Chicago Sky player. Let's call her up.
Reach out.
So they play some basketball, and they break up into teams and play. And the winning team gets to go on like their own little cocktail hour. Right.
Yep.
And we established that Joe is obviously much better at basketball than every single other person.
Joe's nice.
Yeah.
Joe's good.
Legitimately.
He turned around and like shot the ball while jumping. I don't know what that is called, but I was impressed. I was like,
he's legit.
Quite the move, Joe. Yeah, he's a good player.
And then we see him and Michelle do a little one-on-one, and she was like giddy. She was loving that. And all the other guys were watching. I was like, what were they doing? Just like twiddling their thumbs. Everyone was like, okay, yeah, she really likes him. They were even saying that.
Yeah, they're all just like, fuck.
Why are we still here?
Yeah, but they were definitely both in their element for sure.
I really liked it. So, okay, this was kind of Joe's redemption, right? Because first episode, we were like, how many text messages or how many messages, how well did they know each other and all this stuff. So I want to dive into that. So it starts with us seeing that Joe got a call that his mentor and coach had passed away. That was like very shocking to see because like I said, they don't have cell phones. So I have no idea how he would have gotten in touch with someone. So
yeah, the cell phone there.
Is that a situation where, I mean, it's not like a close family member. Could that be a more produced part of it? Like they had this information, like, hey, this would play well right now in this episode, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. It tied in to the episode pretty well, and they talked about it when they kind of related to having a coach as a mentor type of thing. They both understand that. So when they had their one-on-one time, that was definitely talked about.
Right. So we see that. Then we go on the date. They're having so much fun. And I love that he was on the losing team, but she still was like, you know what? I think we're going to have an MVP. Like, I think that he's going to also come to the cocktail hour.
Love it. It's your show. Do your thing.
Right.
Quick note, quick sidebar. Pardeep.
Oh, baby.
We saw him shoot once, and it was
curtains for Pardeep.
Oh my God. It was as bad as you can shoot a basketball.
Head over, if you're listening to audio and you want to get a look, head over and check out Pardeep's jumper on the YouTube channel. I'll screenshot it and post it. It went off the top of the back.
I mean, he shot it over everything. He was.
Shut up. He did. I didn't.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
That stood out like a sore thumb. To me, if I'm him and I know that's how I shoot, I would never shoot the ball.
No,
pass it every single time.
For sure.
It was so bad.
Yeah. It's not good.
Yeah.
Anything else from the second group date that you want to touch on? Who else got? Oh, Nate got some other one-on-one time. Who else did?
Yeah.
Besides
Okay. So I think we should move on to the cocktail party.
Yeah.
One, Michelle looked awesome. I thought that, I don't know. I think she's been looking like great. I feel like the guys are all like obsessed with her. Then she like has that like fun one-on-one time with Rodney where she was like doing the blind taste testing.
Yeah.
He was like, "Is that lasagna?"
That was funny. Rodney's funny.
He's
like Rodney.
so sweaty. I feel bad
Yeah,
for him.
he's a
Yeah.
damp fellow.
He is sweating through his
Hey,
shirt
Rodney,
all the time.
Rodney, I feel you. I feel you, dog. It's hot out there.
Yeah.
You'll be sweating.
He is warm, but he's sweet. I don't think he'll make it much
funny.
farther, but he's nice. So then we start to see all of this commotion with Jamie and Joe. So like, why now is Jamie bringing up all this gossip? So he said that he heard from a buddy that happens to live in Minnesota that happened to see her at a bar that she was already booed up by a light-skinned basketball player. Like, why are you just now bringing this up?
Very weird.
Suspicious, some would say.
And it was so bizarre. He started, I can't remember who it was, Martin and a couple other guys. He started floating out the idea like, hey, I think her and Joe like might have had a thing. I think they knew each other. And he did not get the reception he thought he would, like to rally the troops. Everyone was like, I don't care. I'm focused on me and her. I don't really care what was going on before.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so worried about it. He was very concerned.
I know. And Nate was a humble king. He was like, yeah, I'm not intimidated by that. Like,
Let's do
have
it.
no cares. Yeah.
Let's get it on.
Nate still, I loved him this episode still. I thought that he was just as sweet as the first episode. So.
Yeah, he got the one-on-one time at the second cocktail hour. I wrote down, because I figured he would be featured pretty heavily. I guess he was more in the second half. We were 1 hour in and pretty much no screen time for Nate.
Yeah.
He showed up in the second group date. I guess that's not really that big of a deal.
Got very steamy between Nate and
what were they doing?
They just walked off. They were making out.
Yeah.
He like had her
pressed up against the wall, right? Or he was pressed
Nate.
up against the wall. One of the two.
Yeah.
Remember?
And she initiated that. I was like, okay, go off, queen.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about the Jamie and his concerns with Joe. Is that's not against the rules, is it, to know them before or have any relationship before? What's the history of the show with that?
So it is actually, if you know someone, that's different. But if you know that you're both going to be on the season and you're talking, I believe that's like very frowned upon.
Which wasn't the case here, right? They talked a long time ago. From what she made it,
she clarified that she said she had never met anyone on the show, so they never met, and they messaged like 3 times.
Text messages. I wrote that down because I was like, I was so curious last episode, and so she says that they exchanged 2 DMs quite a few years ago, and then he ghosted her, which that is not how I would describe or use the word ghosting. So, and she like made it seem very lighthearted. So we know now that was all a production in the first night.
Yeah, they made it seem like it was the end of the world in that first episode.
That's not ghosting.
It's like talking. I don't know.
They didn't even talk. That's very few.
I'm busy. I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
Anything else from second cocktail hour? We can talk more Jamie stuff. Where do you want to go from here?
Joe got the rose, right? Or Nate did?
Joe got the rose.
Wait, hold on. I have it written down here.
No, Joe did. Joe.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Because they shot hoops and did the whole, it would have had to have been him, right?
Yep, it was him.
Mm-hmm. So, and they also kept calling Joe like the silent assassin because he keeps to himself and like doesn't boast and things like that, which it makes me very curious why he's actually on the show? Like, does he truly like Michelle, or what's going on? Because he doesn't seem like loud and in your face, or like he wants a lot of attention. So makes me question that a little bit.
I think that could be the case. I think he could be just really confident with where he sits amongst the group. I don't know. I don't think he feels the need to be overly loud or make any waves at this point. I think he feels pretty confident, especially after this episode. You would have to, right?
Oh, right.
So yeah. I don't think waves need to be made. And he seems like a fairly reserved guy overall, just from what we've seen. So I don't know.
So, like, if you guys were on the show and you found out that one of the contestants had exchanged messages, like, would you feel like that puts them above you, or how would you feel about that in this situation?
I mean, the context of it matters. The fact that it was 2 unread messages or whatever 3 years ago would not bother me. But if they're actively talking to each other up until the show starts, obviously that's a whole different thing. But if this is the scenario, it's like,
yeah, he seemed like he was concerned that his friend said that she was already dating. Like he said it like 3 times. It was really
right.
Light-skinned baller, a tall, light-skinned baller. Like they were already together.
My interpretation of that was Joe. But then when she said that, she's like, she made it seem like she had another friend.
It was just some
other guy that she just was friends with.
I mean, I can imagine that she has a lot of people in her inner circle who are ballers. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It was like so blown out of proportion. But also, it really bothered me how Jamie talked. Like, he was rallying the troops, and then when he felt like he wasn't getting what he needed, he went to a different group and said the same thing.
He tried it.
There were people like talking to him about it, and he was agreeing with them, knowing that he's the one that started the rumor. So it was just a shit show. I do not like him.
Yeah,
no,
he went from hero with his story about his childhood and the date with her to complete villain. I mean, he made a 180, right? I mean, he's got to be the most hated guy on the show right now,
Peter, but for different reasons, in a different way. Last episode we were full in, like he could easily win the whole thing,
top 3, yeah.
And now no chance.
How many more episodes until we drop the bomb on the group that it was him that's been bugging out about this?
Oh,
are we doing that next episode? Like, is that going to happen?
I think we're probably squashing that next episode.
It was like meme city of after she set everyone straight. And everyone was like, dude, who was that? And he was like, yeah, man, who could that have been?
Yeah, fucking
that's crazy.
I think you should leave Tim Robinson.
Yeah, it was
hot dog suit.
We gotta find
the guy who did this.
We gotta find who did this. He was like, couldn't be me.
Yeah.
He was so funny.
That guy must be a real asshole.
Yeah. I hate him.
Yeah, he fucking sucks.
Yeah, he fucking sucks. So then after Michelle, I felt so bad for her. She was very upset because she felt like everyone in the house was talking about it, when in reality it was 2 people?
No one.
Jamie.
No one was concerned.
Right. And so she was very upset. Nate called the person soft, which I was like, love that. Then we see her cancel the rest of the cocktail party and just go straight into the good stuff.
Yeah. I thought, go ahead. Anything else before we go to the rose ceremony?
No, you go ahead.
I thought it was pretty standard. So we go into the rose ceremony knowing that Brandon, Jay, Jamie, and Joe already have one.
Right.
Correct. And then the first one, you're getting in my head. I pay attention now. The first name she calls was Nate.
Yep.
And that I just make a note of it. Seems like Nate is a pretty obvious front runner.
Yeah, so I think right now, like, he didn't get the group date rose and he didn't get the one-on-one because she doesn't want to be too obvious that she's playing the long game with Nate. Like, I think that no matter what, he's going to be in the top 4. No debate.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. Were you surprised do you have anything?
No.
Were you surprised of anyone that got one outside of the obvious producer pick of Peter at the end?
Honestly, right now, I feel like it's still so hard to, like, say, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, I don't
really know him that well.
Yeah, but I think that
Go
it'll
ahead.
get easier. Sorry, it'll get easier to be like, why did he get a rose later?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who we still have not really seen get any screen time that seems like for her, in her opinion, are kind of slam dunk roses. And I assume either they're going to go home next episode or we're going to see a little bit more of them. But like, what's his name? Olamide, Malik.
We haven't really seen too much of that.
Martin, they all seem like she is kind of into them, but we just haven't really seen a lot of on-screen time for them. Here's the one guy that I can't believe didn't go home the first night is LT. The creepy.
This dude is a serial killer.
Bodies in his basement.
This guy is creepy, man.
Yeah. Even when she gave him he's like, will you accept? And he's like, yeah, of course. What? Fuck.
So
I was
bad.
Never mind.
I'll take it back.
No.
We'll just not give this one out.
He is unsettling. He even looks like, ugh.
Yeah, he's so tense and creepy at all times. I can't remember this guy's name. I wrote down the guy is Guy with Kids. So someone else had a one-on-one time, and he said that he had like a 3-year-old son, I think, and he showed some pictures. What was his name?
What is his name? He's
not. I can't remember. I know.
Unless there more down. Oh, there's more down here. It is Spencer.
Okay.
There we go. Yep, Spencer. He got one fairly early.
Yeah, I think that right now, she's keeping numbers and all that good stuff. But overall, there was no one that like stood out to me that went home that I was like, oh, I feel like they would have gotten more airtime. I mean, Pardeep, I do wish he would have gotten more airtime, but if it didn't click, it didn't click.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem like a match to me. I mean, she seems fairly set on an athletic type guy, and he just doesn't seem like that at all. I know it could be a weird deal breaker, but it just doesn't seem like a match. I don't know. PJ, Alec, and Daniel also went home. We both thought PJ was super cool. I mean, he didn't really get a lot of screen time other than that.
No, you guys.
I've seen a lot of speculation in the Twitterverse that he's going to be a Paradise.
I could see that
contestant.
I could see that. I could also see Pardeep going down to Paradise because a lot of people were upset that he was the first Indian contestant and he got no airtime.
Yeah.
What?
They made fun of him. That's it. They made fun of his jump shot and then they sent him home.
Yeah. What makes for a good Paradise? Like, what should we look for someone that's
in my opinion,
Paradise?
Someone who's just real hot. I don't know.
I think hot is definitely one of them. And then I would say that there's definitely like supposed to be like a mix of like dramatic and also like really like soft, lovable guys as well. Like this last season, this last season we had like Ivan and Joe, who to me, and Riley, who were like your like teddy bear guys who like everyone absolutely loved. And then you have your villains too. So I think that there's a good mix. Overall, Paradise, you're going to look for people who are overall like fan favorites that are going to be there or villains.
Okay. Let's see. What else we got? That pretty much does it for the episode. Anything that stood out in the montage after for what's to come? Anything that stood out? Any predictions?
Clayton's going to get a one-on-one date, it looks like, at some point.
Yep.
I think we saw that also in the first post thing. I don't really remember. Nothing stood out to me.
Yeah. I think that nothing necessarily stood out to me about the next episode either. Clayton seemed a little bit more normal than I was expecting. Like he was definitely sweating about not getting called first for a rose.
I agree. They definitely made that clear. He was.
Yeah, so maybe that means that next week he'll be more in the spotlight since this week he was like upset about not getting much attention. So I'm excited. I really, really like. I know I keep saying that, but I do really like Michelle. I feel like she's carrying the Bachelor franchise on her back right now because it was kind of doing poorly, especially like everyone hated Katie and she's been awesome.
Yeah, I think she's been a good lead. And I didn't know that no one really did this, but I like that she kind of busted some balls and called Brandon out on his cheesy lines. I didn't know that was uncommon, but yeah, I think she's doing a good job.
Her rose ceremony dress looked amazing.
Was that the purple one?
I don't remember. No.
It was like it was deep V.
I don't remember.
What color was it?
Remember it? It was so good.
What color was it? I don't remember.
We'll drop
it.
Like
purplish. It was like a purplish red color.
Yeah, the purple one. Yeah.
All right.
I'm on the same page.
Let's talk some social clips. We got a couple. We'll flash up on the screen here. This one speaks to me because back in the day, your boy, he didn't mind himself some NSYNC. Martin, my guy Martin, looks like all 5 members of NSYNC combined.
Are you
frosted tips.
Are we NSYNC people or Backstreet Boys people?
Oh, NSYNC.
Bobbie?
I don't know.
They're both.
I'm so shocked we don't have
Backstreet Boys.
I'm shocked you don't have a hot take on this.
I think maybe I lean NSYNC just a little bit, just a smidge.
Yeah, all in on NSYNC for sure. Reunion tour. Second clip. Petition to have her host the Bachelor in Paradise. It's the little girl from the classroom. She kind of stole the show for a bit. She was super hot on the socials.
I loved her.
Yeah, she was funny. Really funny. That was a good twist to having the kids kind of bring the guard down of the guys. It was a good. And yeah, this dude, this is LT, right? The third one we're gonna flash up here. Huge Jack Frost vibes. Huge Martin Short from. The Santa Claus
looks
Jack
like
Frost,
a complete psychopath.
Dude looks like a character.
Ugh.
So I obviously work in plastic surgery, and he has really bad injections. Like his injections are some of the worst I've seen.
Okay, something's not right. This isn't a real person.
I mean, you'd think Clint Eastwood's grandson. You get the best of the best. You got every contact you could ever imagine.
That smile we're showing on this picture is just the toughest thing he's ever had to do. It's just so forced. Look at this thing.
So like he's wearing lip gloss in the picture for sure, and he has lip filler. And I don't know. Like I personally, if a guy has thin lips, that's okay with me. Just don't get lip filler.
Seems weird. Seems a weird thing to be concerned about.
Seems very noticeable when it happens.
Good time. So this episode I followed the hashtag on Twitter. I was following along, and it was good. It was funny. Good follow along.
It's nice like watching live with the tweets for sure.
Yeah. Fun. Anything else?
You want to do some buy or sell on some?
We can do buy.
I got a list.
Go off.
I got a list. Okay, here's a guy that got almost no screen time, but in the little time he did, he impressed me, and I like what I saw. I don't know if you guys even know. You know Romeo, or do you remember Romeo?
Yes. Okay. I remember.
He said he graduated from Harvard with like a math degree or something, and he wrote down like I was calculating how many times to say I love you by every second in the day.
I calculated how many seconds in the day. Yep. Okay.
I got my eye on Romeo. I think Romeo seems smart, seems nice. Yep. I'm buying on Romeo. Everyone else?
I can get in on that. I don't know much about him other than what we just talked about. But
So Romeo was super cringy the first time we saw him. And so I'm skeptical. I did feel like he got a little bit more airtime that put him in a positive light last night.
He does seem like a cool ball, but he seems very sweet.
He was one of the last guys to get a rose on this episode, for whatever that's worth. And if the order matters to any,
I'm going sell.
Yeah, that's probably that might be fair. He may just be gone next episode, and we never hear from him again.
Yeah, I mean, he was very forgettable to me, so maybe I should sell too. But didn't hate him. Like I said,
I'll buy a little bit of Romeo.
Okay,
his stock's at a pretty low price right now. I'll buy. I'm gonna assume I know everyone's answer to this. Jamie, everyone's selling their Jamie stock.
I'm out.
How long do we think he makes it? How many more episodes? Next episode gone? 2 episodes? 3?
No, Well, he actually, depending on what happens when the news breaks, it's possible that Michelle would send him home actually for lying and manipulating her.
Yeah, when she finds out that not everyone it was a big deal in amongst the group,
Yeah.
that probably won't sit well. So whenever that goes down, I'll give him one more episode, and then maybe after that, which is a huge turnaround from what we thought.
I wouldn't be shocked if he stayed for longer than one episode, but I just really hope that someone tells Michelle what's going on and then she sends him home.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
our big lovable teddy bear, Rodney. What do we think about Rodney? What do we think his chances are? How deep do we see him going? About the end of the road for Rodney.
He's a goof. The heart says buy, the head says sell, you know?
To me, it seems like there's a lot of people between him and the bottom of the list. I think he's firmly in the middle right now. I think he's got a little bit more life.
That makes sense.
I think 3 or 4 more episodes with Rodney. So I'm going to buy.
I think that is well said. I will buy as well.
I do think he has a few more episodes in him, so I will buy as well, but they have zero chemistry. They don't like each other.
Yeah, it seems a bit forced.
They seem friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
But
pals.
you have to have like that comic relief guy, and I feel like that is him. Like, and so it's kind of nice.
He's very sweaty.
He's
buy for now. Short-term buy.
I assume I know everyone's answer to this. Joe, we're all buying Joe.
Me and you both think he's going to win.
Grant, me and Wes are slam dunk. He's going to win the whole thing. I don't think.
You both think he's going to win?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, if you offered me a combination of Nate or Joe, I would take it for sure. Slam dunk.
Nate and Joe or anyone else, I would put all my money on Nate or Joe.
I agree. But
I would be shocked if they were both in the top 2. But I could see, I don't know. I can see Nate getting his heart broken and kind of like playing off of that and being the next Bachelor because everyone's obsessed with him.
I could see him being a big time fan favorite and really kind of Tyler Cameroning his way to a really big following. How often? So it feels like, again, we have never watched the show. How often do we get the rug pulled out from under us? Like, it feels like Joe and Nate are so slam dunk going to be in like the final 3. Like, do they lead you on like that? Or because the cut that we're seeing of this show seems like they're so in to be very, very close to the end.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a few people that really sneak up that we're going to see. Like, I feel like there's going to be one person that like shocks us and that turns into someone who's going to be in our top 3, maybe top 4. But I would be shocked if Joe or Nate went home before top 4.
Yeah, same.
Any other? Totally agree. I have a few more names. Brandon J.
Again, stinks.
Here's the thing, though. It's not about us. It seems like Michelle is into it. It seems like Michelle likes it. So it's not about us. It's about what she thinks. And to me, I think he's got a little bit more life left in him. And
again, I would say, especially after this last episode, far from the bottom. Kind of Rodney plus. Like, he's ahead of a lot of people.
He's ahead of Rodney.
A lot of screen time. Like, in the first episode, he got a lot of screen time. And same with last night. I will be buying him, but I will also have buyer's remorse because I don't want to be buying him.
I hate Brandon J. I will also be buying.
That's well said. You made a good point in the first one that they had him reading, or they had him doing voiceover of stuff that was kind of odd.
Yeah. Like bro moments, which makes me think that he's going to last a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mm-hmm. I don't want it, but I'll buy it, I guess.
Another person, kind of a foregone conclusion, Nate, I assume. What do we think about Nate? Nate, like you said, I could see him getting his heart broken. I did say in the first episode that he kind of came off as a player, maybe, and he's very confident, almost to a fault, maybe.
I would be shocked if he wasn't in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think so too.
The reception he got at the at his little date by the where were they at?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Their one-on-one time. She seemed to be into it.
She's attracted to him, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I really, really like Nate. Obviously. I know I keep saying that, but I'm buying him. I think that he is really, really good for the show, even if it does turn into drama. I feel like he's a really good character to watch.
No, okay, last person. This person's random. I don't even know that they've really gotten any screen time, but it seems like every time the rose ceremony comes up, they're one of the first people picked, and it seems like she doesn't even have to think twice about it. Leroy.
I would put him in the same boat as Martin. Martin was the third rose given. I wrote down. Leroy was fifth. He was early too.
We can do both.
It seems just haven't really seen much.
Yeah, I don't know what to think.
So weird. But they were both early. They were.
If I had to have my sleeper snake in the grass candidate right now, I would probably pick Leroy as a guy that, like you said, would sneak up on us at the end.
Yeah. That's
okay. Remind me who Leroy is. I'm like looking through my notes and I have nothing about Leroy.
Dang, he keeps getting like really early roses. We haven't even seen much of him. We're gonna do computer to computer. Here, take a look if you can. You see that?
Oh. Okay.
Great podcasting.
Yes.
I don't know much about him.
Okay, let me look at what we said about him in the start because I recognize the name. Okay. Oh, okay. Yes, he's the one who's like the medical engineer or whatever. And then he also is a model. Yes. And I had him in my yes column then. So I'm excited to see more about him.
He was my long shot guess to be the next Bachelor for whatever reason. But I still don't know anything about him.
We're all high on Leroy. It sounds like we're all buying maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm gonna
buying some Leroy. Okay.
Sight unseen. I'm buying on Leroy.
We're pushing an hour. Let's do our simps. Does anyone have a simp? Do you guys
have a strong one this week?
I have.
I
don't know. I've got one.
Mine's without question.
Go ahead.
Brandon J.
Same.
He was mine in week 1.
Same. Absolutely. That fucking Hallmark bullshit.
It's
then
brutal.
And then when you called him out, he's like, I'll never do that again. I'll never say anything corny to you ever again. It's like, well, Jesus, dude. I mean,
I know. It's like, so is that you or not? So you're just not going to be yourself?
Yeah, it's like, I didn't like that. Okay, I'll be completely different. I'll do whatever you want. Whatever.
Yeah, it was so bad. It's got to be him. I thought it wasn't to her, but I thought in the talk to camera stuff that the single stuff they did, that Rick was like almost moved to tears every time he was asked to talk about her. So he stays simping. Mm-hmm. That was yours in week 1.
Could have been Rick this week too.
Brandon J or Rick.
Yeah, honestly, both of them are great picks. But I felt like Rick was about to cry too. And I was like, is this man drunk or is he just really emotional? Like
that's what I'm talking. Like in week 1, like we're in week 2 and Rick is like, I think she's the one.
I forgot to say, Brandon J said, I'm falling for this girl in his interview. And I was like, right? You did not just say that.
Brandon, brother, buddy, friend.
Simp of the week.
Let's reel it in. We got a long
simp of the week.
Long road. Don't get out over our skis here. Yeah, they're simping hard.
Big simping.
Yeah.
Overall, very good episode. I thought the group dates were fun. The drama was not too consuming. Like we still got some quality one-on-one time. But yeah, I liked it.
The 2 hours kind of flew by. I feel like this one moved faster to me than the first episode did.
The first episode is like, I personally think the first episode is always the worst, but you have to watch it to like get into the season.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
So much of it seemed like they were just padding time, like padding the run time. It's like, I don't need to see any of this. This is
at least we're doing something for the most part. About this one. Good episode. I think that'll do it for the recap. Anything else you want to toss in?
I don't think so. I've said all I need to be said.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure to like the episode. Whatever you do to podcast on Spotify, on Apple, do that.
Comment, rate 5 stars, leave a review.
Let us know what you thought of the episode. We'll be back next week to break down episode 3.
And we will be on time this week.
On time. Bobbie is on schedule now. Volleyball Stars season's over. We'll be on time, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers.